Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate the opportunity to address you on HR 1. And the reason I do is because I think a lot of times there's a serious lack of understanding in DC about how we work and live in North Dakota. And that may explain why so often proposals from Congress not only ignore that, but they also sometimes are hostile to it. That is why North Dakotans believe that the most effective form of government is one closest to its constituents. And this is important, particularly in HR 1's case, and it is unique to North Dakota. It doesn't have to be unique to North Dakota. You could all join the party, but HR 1 not only forces North Dakota to abandon the way it conducts its elections, but in our case, it's going to make it harder for us to vote because North Dakota is the only state in the country without voter registration. It has been that way in North Dakota since 1951. To vote in North Dakota, you must simply be a legal resident at least 30 days prior to the election. HR 1 tells my constituents that their key election law, which they have kept in place for over 70 years, must go. The bill requires automatic same-day voter registration, which would also preempt my state's 30-day residency requirement. My amendment just simply provides an exemption from HR 1's voter registration requirements for any state that does not currently and continuously thereafter utilize voter registration. This would allow North Dakota to continue its 70-year tradition of not employing voter registration, which eases voters' access. In fact, the amendment follows current law. The amendment provides the same exemption as is provided in the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. In 1993, Congress recognized the wisdom of providing an exemption from voter registration requirements for any state that does not utilize voter registration. And one final note, this amendment would also be inserted on page 266 of the bill text. That is right below a subsection that states nothing in this title shall be construed to prohibit a state from enacting a law that provides for greater opportunities to register, to vote, and to vote. Yes, that is what my amendment would do. Ensure greater opportunities for North Dakotans to allow them to keep the same law in place. And I want to be clear, this is not a North Dakota specific law. The only reason it's specific is because North Dakota is the only state that doesn't have voter registration. We are not reinventing the wheel. We are just asking for the same exemption that existed in 1993. It made sense then. It doesn't affect anybody else on this call in either party in our body right now except my state. And it's important because we have spent 25 years developing law based on the rural nature and how we do things. There are things in this bill that require being close to public transportation or within walking distance of a polling place. I have rural counties that have 700 people. Requiring you to request vote by mail by phone is not practical. We have developed these programs. With 42 of our 53 counties have vote by mail. We have counties that are exclusively vote by mail. But I want to fundamentally just make sure I readdress the fact that in our particular instance, in our particular state, there's a very easy fix because we've done it before. And I also want to be clear on this. In anybody's attempt to make it easier to vote in other areas in the country, real or perceived, the effect of HR 1 is going to make it that it is harder to vote in North Dakota. I don't think that's anybody's intent, but that is absolutely what's going to happen. So as simply as I can say this, just please give us the same exemption that existed in 1993. If we ever require voter registration, we'll be under it. And this becomes law, we'll be under the same place everywhere else. We like how we do things. We like we're that quirky little state in the middle of North America. Please don't take that away from us because we have the easiest ballot access of any state in the country. And with that, I yield back.